Hey everybody, it's Cindy here, your leader of Confident Women. You can have it all. And first of all, I want to thank you for all your comments and offers of prayers and loving kindness and so forth from me sharing yesterday about my friend who's had her child die. It is a heartbreaking situation, and your prayers and support and healing thoughts and love across the miles mean a great deal to me. And I will pass on those great greetings to her as well as soon as I see her. A group of about 12 of us gathered last night of her closer friends here, or some of her closer friends here in the area, and had a really meaningful experience sharing and caring with one another and doing some praying and things. And so we're getting ready to, move in and do all that we can to support her and her family. So thank you so much for providing the space for me to share about that yesterday. And that helped it. Each day we're coming along here. So, but I know for her the road is long. The road is long. So enough of that for now. I'm going to change my tune a little bit because one of the topics that have been coming up recently with several of you. I mean, there are so many topics. We need to hang out together for years for me to cover everything, which I intend to do. But anyway, one of them that's come up repeatedly is how do we deal with difficult people? Difficult people. We all know them. We all have them, right? And again, this is a positive forum. But we're going to positively deal with our challenges together. So let's talk about that a little bit seriously, because I know you work with difficult people sometimes, you live with difficult people sometimes you have difficult family members, neighbors, even some in your friendship circles might feel really difficult. People you're in intimate relationships may feel like your most difficult people. It's funny how that happens sometimes. So I'm just going to take all those kinds of relationships into consideration. Personal and professional relationships, maybe customers and clients of yours are some of the most difficult people you deal with. So please, I'm trying to give some universal information and strategies to deal with any difficult person in your realm that you have. So one of the things to think about is, can you put some boundaries around the relationship? Some boundaries, boundaries of how much time you spend with the person. Maybe you need to limit your time with the person in a new way. If it's really becoming extra challenging for you to be around that person, that might be one thing you could do. Maybe it's not though. Maybe you can't control the amount of time you spend with this person because maybe you work side by side. Maybe you're business partners. Maybe you're whatever. But think about if you can put any boundaries of time, or you can put behavioral boundaries around your relationships. For example, I have a client who has some people in her life that every time they get together, all these people want to do is drink. And she's beyond that now. That's not how she wants to spend her time. And so I said, well, how about you put some behavioral boundaries around and you choose not to drink when you're with them, or you choose not to spend time with them when they're drinking and instead suggest you do other things or whatever. And so, we are in charge of our own choices. And so ask yourself if you can put some behavioral boundaries in the relationship that feel better for you. Also, what you focus on in conversation, like what kind of conversations you're willing to have with the difficult people in your life. You may not want to get as intimately into some conversations with them. Maybe there are subjects that are not good subjects for you to discuss with the most challenging people in your life. And it's okay to put boundaries around that as well, as much as you're able. So look for that. And by all means, I wouldn't have difficult people in your home unless they're already there and you live with them, and then that's a whole other level of a challenge that we can discuss at some point. Ask yourself if you can be okay just being with them, just being in their midst. Can you be okay just being in their midst? Part of being able to be in the midst of a difficult person is learning to give up control over the situation in a way, and I don't mean to make yourself powerless, I don't mean that, but we have a tendency to want to control other people sometimes when we don't like how they show up in the world, and we cannot control them. All we can do is control our response to them. And so instead of trying to change their mind or convince them to be a different way or that kind of thing, you might ask yourself, how can I think about them differently when I'm with them? Like, what can you, like when I'm in the presence of someone I find difficult, one of the things I do is I attempt to find what I really can appreciate about a person, because there's always something to appreciate about people, and usually many things if we can focus on that. So focus on what you can find to respect about them, appreciate about them, things that you have in common. I mean, they're in your life for some reason, so there's some common thread in your life. So if you can focus more on what do we have in common, what do we agree about, what do I like about them, what do I appreciate, what do I respect, and put those thoughts in your mind when you're in their presence, you might be able to just be with them in a more peaceful way in your own heart and your own mind. So you're not sitting there like feeling like pulling your hair out, right? Or needing to sit on your hands so you don't like... No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so one of the ways that some people are particularly difficult is they like to argue about everything you bring up, everything that comes up. You know, they're just argumentative by nature. And they may have a personality disorder that leads to that kind of behavior, or maybe not. Maybe they're just argumentative and feel like they know everything. And, you know, we've all run into people like that, right? And so if you've got one of those around you, you might, again, I would really stop yourself from trying so hard to convince them of your way of thinking or trying so hard to change their minds, because that leads to your own lack of peace, stress, frustration, and then it's much harder to tolerate the situation, right? And you leave again with your skin crawling or you wanting to pull your hair out, right? So instead you might, if they want to talk about, you know, everything that they know or that kind of thing, or if there's a conversation going on with a group of you together, you might, as you give them respectful attention, you might say things like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Or just nod your head and, oh, yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought of it that way before. Or thank you for sharing. So all of these responses are what I call neutral responses, because you're not agreeing with them and you're not disagreeing with them. So you're not attempting to be controversial or change their mind or think you know better than them and you're showing them. There's nothing controversial or oppositional about saying these things. And it's a way to be present with someone and give them some attention that's respectful, and keep yourself calm at the same time. Now, that you may disagree with me about behaving that way, but I'm just giving you one perspective on how to remain present with people that you do whatever, spend time with, that maybe in your world that are particularly challenging for you. Okay, and if you do have a choice whether to keep this person in your life or not, for example, if they're just a friend in your friendship circle, or maybe a family member that, you know, isn't super close or whatever, is keeping the relationship worth it to you? Is really keeping them in your lives worth it to you? Or is this a situation where it is so difficult, so challenging, so upsetting, so frustrating that you need to eliminate the relationship? I don't, that's not my first go-to suggestion, honestly, most generally, but sometimes the boundary that we need is to exit their lives. Sometimes that is the boundary that we need in particularly challenging, destructive, unhealthy situations. So it just depends on what the situation is, and only you can know for sure if it feels like a relationship that you have to eliminate altogether, or if you can, again, put different boundaries around it that keep you feeling more peaceful around the person, and like that your energy isn't being just zapped from you as often because you're not around them as much, or you're thinking properly in a way that helps you to remain present but peaceful despite the personality that they have, or the beliefs that they have, or the way they behave or act or whatever when you're around them. So I think that's everything that I thought I would share today. Also, please share your suggestions to the group. The group is looking for not just my take on things and the strategies that I've learned over the years as a counselor and a coach and a certified Canfield methodology teacher and so forth. They're looking for wisdom from all of you. So if you have suggestions on ways to deal with difficult people, challenging relationships, feel free to comment below and share your ideas with others. I'd love to hear them. And I know other women would too, and we benefit from each other. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. And if you are looking to you're really working on your relationships and putting boundaries up in your life, or anything else that you think you might want a breakthrough coaching session call, I do offer a few of those each week. Well, not every week, but every so often for free. And so if you need that, want that, just let me know, and we can get on the phone and talk about what's going on and ways that you might move forward in your life so things work better and you have your own definition of success and happiness. Oh, and by the way, a little apology here. I'm in the Lawrence Public Library because my internet at home is not always great. And so I apologize for I see people walking behind me. I am in an enclosed study room, and so it is private, but I see there's been activity behind me where I'm sitting today. So if that's distracting to you, I apologize, but I'm making it where this is my office away from home is the library. So when it doesn't look like my home or my home office, that's because I'm going where the internet is stronger and more reliable, so I can do these things with you and for you. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks again for your support and prayers, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.